So Patanjali is the sage who created these threads, these sutras, 196 of them, and they really cannot be seen on their own. We date this kind of writing between 400 BCE, before Common Era, to 200 CE. So there's a typo on there, which is just Common Era. And the reason why this is significant is because in India, the oral tradition is considered good for your memory. So when somebody starts to write it down, it's not necessarily a good thing. It means either the person was afraid that they were losing their memory, or they were worried about this time, what we call Kali Yuga, when there's a cycle in which humanity forgets these vital pieces of knowledge, of self knowledge, that sort of make the world go into more chaos. So, whatever it is, in the West, we consider writing a wonderful time. In the East, it's considered like there was a problem. So, just something to consider. Patanjali was sort of associated with Vishnu, the great maintainer. And Vishnu, of course, lies on a bed of a snake called Shisha with 8 heads. So we sometimes see Patanjali depicted with a serpent bottom, and I'll show you that next. There's lots of conflicting beliefs about if Patanjali was a family, a Brahmin family, or was he just one compiler? And it is said that sometimes he had 4 students, and each book represents each student's needs. So just some things to consider. This is that picture of Patanjali that I mentioned before, with this sort of serpent-like snake. And I just love the drawing here and the creativity. I think it's really quite beautiful. So remember, a sutra is a short sentence with no rhythm or rhyme. It's a flow of speech, though. It has a sort of sing-songy nature. When you hear it, I could send you a recording of that. And sutra means thread. So it's like a verse that requires further contemplation, further interpretation. So you always want to be careful of any kind of translation that only translates sentence by sentence, because this kind of work needs a translator and a translation. What's, of course, challenging is that all of the Patanjali Yoga Sutras are really based on this one person's initial translation, Vyasa. So we're starting right away with one person's viewpoint. The verses are called a shloka, or shlokas in plural, and they do have a sort of set rhythm to them within those words. There are only about 6 words on average per sutra, and so this really is the Coles notes. And you can see a really brief timeline here. The Vedas, I mean, this might even be dated back to 10,000 before Common Era. Common Era is adjusted at the birth of Jesus, and so year zero is that time. Of course, now we're 2,000 years past that time. Imagine going 5,000 years back, 10,000 years back from today. Then we have the great epic stories, the Mahabharata, the Ramayana, the Bhagavad Gita, also from quite a long time ago. And then the Upanishads, which are really a description of the Vedas, and then Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, Cole's notes. And then we have some Hatha Yoga lineages and books later in about the 15th century, and then modern Western postural yoga. So we will be looking today at the Prakritis, or the first sprouting of creation. We'll talk more about Purusha and Prakriti. Purusha is the all beingness, the kind of unmanifest part of creation, and the Prakritis are this all of the expression of the beautiful Purusha. So imagine during this time when Patanjali wrote down the sutras, there were yogis in the forest, and they were doing postures like Ekapada Hastasana, with one arm in the air and one foot on their leg, sometimes holding it for years at a time. And so, Patanjali had a very specific idea. And so this is just really one perspective. Keep that in mind. There are 4 books in Patanjali's Sutras, and here they are. Sort of the first one is this union with the divine self. The second is the